Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, number 4 out of 6 from 1984. And we got this really cool cover here by Al Milgrom. The thing I love about Al Milgrom the most is his brushwork. I'm a huge fan of the brushwork. I am not a big fan of his penciling. I just don't think he's very dynamic at all. But we start off here with this car driving through the mountains here. Um, and where are we? We've been driving for hours. Where are we headed? Why are you going so fast? On this lousy road in this storm? You crazy woman, you'll kill us all. And Stanley presents Rebirth. Chris Claremont is the writer. Al Milgrom is the penciler and inker. And we don't have Tomas Zakowski lettering this issue. So Tomas Zakowski must have been like, my dude, I'm having to do New Mutants and Uncanny X-Men. I cannot do a third one. So he had been lettering. So this is his first book that he is not lettering in the series. So Glynis Wein is still the colorist. So all right, and answer me, curse you. And so here we have Yukio, Kitty. I think this is Kitty's dad, and then I forgot who this is. Oh, it's Wolverine. Duh. I thought it just didn't look like him the way he was there. Your friend Wolverine is in pretty bad shape, lady. He's too pale. He's lost a lot of blood. I don't think the bandages we improvise are doing any good. Yukio, he needs a hospital. Better yet, he needs a doctor. Better yet, a hospital. That's where we should be. Back in Tokyo, not barreling around these godforsaken mountains without proper care. He won't last the night. And then Yukio says, he dies, chum, then so do you. So, and he says, forget it, lady. I'm through being scared. I want some answers. What have you people done with my daughter? Why is she tied up? I do have a playlist. Feel free to check that out. And she slams the brakes on the car here. And she gets out and puts Kitty Pryde's dad out. I've had enough of you, Pryde. And he's like, hey, your arrogance, your stupidity, your fear, and mostly your mouth. I will endure no more. More than once, you've made me regret saving your miserable carcass. If I didn't need an extra pair of hands, I'd have dumped you long ago. I may do so yet. And he slams him here. He's like, woof. You pushed me to my limit, Gaijin, so do as you're told without question or complaint. Or else. And then she's like, do I make myself clear? And he's like, yeah. All right, get in the car. And he thinks here, she means it. She'd really kill me. And he goes, Kitty. And then you can see her kind of getting out of here. What are you doing, girl? Come back here. Of course, she phased through. And Yukio says, blast it, stay with Wolverine, Pryde. And then she thinks here, the drug should have kept the child out for hours. Her cursed mutant metabolism burnt them out faster than out of her system faster than I anticipated. She must have phased out of her bonds and in the car. I'm in luck. She's only just recovered by the looks of it. She can barely stand, much less run or fight. That makes the odds even. I don't want to hurt her, she says. And of course, now we're going to get a recap of what she did to Wolverine in the previous issue here. Even after what she did to my beloved Logan, that wasn't her fault. If anyone's to blame, it's her idiot father. and the renegade Ronin Ogun who possessed her. So, and then Kitty, of course, is using her ninja skills that the Ogun sort of gave her here, and so groggy as she is, the girl's as quick as her namesake, and she fights with Ogun's skill. Good Lord, Kitty, child, what have you done? Says her dad as she grabs this sword. Look at that smile here. Forgive me, little one. You are a fool, Yukio. You are no match for me, says Kitty. And Yukio's like, Kitty's voice, but Ogun's words. And he's right, or would be, if I fought fair. So, then as now, I had only seconds to act. The slightest warning, and Kitty would have faced through my spikes like a ghost. I'd never have caught her. So, I'm known as the Wild One, and that means I do the craziest things, sometimes like leaping off a cliff into the teeth of a howling gale. And so you can see Kitty being hurt here. Gambling that the wind will push me back to solid ground. My spikes were coated with a powerful sedative. She was unconscious before she hit the ground. So, and so the two kind of begin still fighting or continue fighting. Sorry. I wonder which is the true mercy, to have spared her life as I did then, and then hits her in the gut, or to have taken it here as she hits her now in the face here, and perhaps put her out of her misery. I've heard stories of this sort of ninjutsu magic. It's said that the soul once tainted by it can never again be free. So we're now going to O Osan Miyaku. Sorry, I apologize. And so this is at a mountaintop. It's just Alan Milgrom. He's just not very dynamic. And so the dad says, I'll take my daughter. And Yukio's like, I have her. And then he's like, Wolverine, you're alive. He's like, yup, let me help. And he's like, I can manage. And so Wolverine here, I think he's the one narrating this here. So this Wolverine says that this place is where he recovered during his last trip. And so I like this. I'm Wolverine. This is my story. So you can see him hobbling through here. And so it looks like when I'm trying to see now if this is also Wolverine or if this is just Claremont doing the third person narration here. But you can see here Kitty kind of we're kind of getting a recap of how she was able to get trained in very quickly here. And she wakes up here and Wolverine's right next to her. Says good morning. How you doing, Pumpkin? And she says, I'm great. I'm happy. This is the happiest day of my life. Oh, Logan, have I got a story to tell you? The most awful of nightmares. It seems so real. It was, kiddo. Ease off, will ya? I'm feeling a bit tender. So, and she's like, what do you mean? What are you saying? Face the truth, Kitty. That is our only hope. See, things are, see things as they are no matter how much it hurts. And she says, we fought. I remember. It was me, and yet it wasn't. I had a blade, and when I thrust it home into your heart, I was so proud, so glad, she says, sobbingly here. I'm sorry, Logan, for being such a baby just now for everything. And Wolverine says, nothing to forgive, kiddo. I understand. And I figured the least you're entitled to is a good cry. Now, how about some breakfast? She says, I'm not hungry, thank you. And he's like, suit yourself. I'm starved, as he begins to eat here. What brought you out here anyway? Last any of us heard, you were safe at home in Chicago. And she goes, I wish I'd stayed there. And Wolverine says, me too. And she's like, that looks really good. Yup. My dad's involved with a crime lord, a Yakuza Oyabun named Shigematsu, he says. I thought he was being forced into it. I wanted to help. And Wolverine says, why go it alone? And Kitty's like, it was a family matter. I wanted to keep it private. especially if he turned out to be a real crook, which he did. Oh, Logan, how could he? He says. And Wolverine says, "Don't judge, Kitty, till you get all the evidence. Where's Ogun fit into this?" He says. "He was at Shigematsu's chief goon or something. He said I'd been given him as payments in full for his services. Why, Logan? What does he want from me?" And Wolverine says, "Ogun had you for the better part of a week. What happened?" And Kitty says, "I'm not sure. Those memories are all hazy and jumbled up. You talk like you know him," she says. "He was my sensei. Man taught me just about everything I know," says Wolverine. "Wow, it's funny. You look about the same age from the moment we met. Ogun reminded me of you and scared me as much as you used to, yet he seems so much older." And Wolverine says, "I know. There's a story people tell the greatest swordsman in Japanese history, Miyamoto Musashi here." And so I think we got a little garden here of how one fine morning in those younger days when he still wore steel instead of wooden swords, he came to a bridge, only to find his path blocked by another samurai. And this one says, "The way, honored sir, is wide enough for only one. It is only fitting that the lesser man step aside to let the better one pass." And the other one says, "Agreed, my friend. If you would be so kind as to do so, I shall be on my way." And this one says, "It appears we have a difference of opinion." And the other one says, that o- that only our blades can settle." And it says here, "Ogun threw down the gauntlet, and as one with blinding speed, the two gleaming katanas leapt from their lacquered scabbards." I apologize. For 1 minute, the men stood poised, their eyes locked, and then they sheathed their steel, bowed, and went their separate ways, never to cross paths again. And Kitty's like, "I don't get it. The eye contact was the duel, kitten. When each took the full measure of his foe and realized that the other was his equal in every respect, and further, that this was a battle neither could win, the conflict resolved. There was no need to actually cross swords." And Kitty says, "Hey, wait. You trying to tell me that my Ogun is the same guy, that he's immortal?" And Wolverine says, "No one knows for sure. Get dressed, pumpkin. Meet me outside," says Wolverine. And so outside here, uh, um, Kitty says, "It's a garden." "Very good," says Wolverine. "Don't make fun of me, Wolvie. I'm not in the mood." And Wolverine says, "Sorry, I should have known better. Take an hour and this rake." Again, real quick, Al Milgram's. I wish. Can you imagine how great he would be if he could be just a little bit more dynamic with his penciling? Um, but man, do I love his inking. If I was a professional, I would have my work inked by him all the time. So that just like Jim Lee and Scott Williams, I would have be like Al Milgrom ink my work. So anyway, Kitty's like, "And do what?" And he says, "Anything you like. I'll be back." And she's like, "This is silly." And Wolverine's like, "Do as you're told." And so Yukio's like, "Are you totally round the bloody blue bend, lover? It's barely a day since she cut you to ribbons. You're insane to be out of bed." And Wolverine said, "It's got to be done, Yukio. If I don't act at once, it'll be too late." And Yukio says, "It already is, but you're too blind to see it. Logan-san, if the stories told about Ogun are even half true, his hooks are sunk so deeply into Kitty, she'll never be free." And Wolverine says, "Perhaps, but I have to try, for my sake as much as hers." So he narrates again, Wolverine does. "Yukio's right. I feel worn out, old. I'm pushing too hard, too soon. What makes me a mutant is my body's ability to heal virtually any wound, but it needs a decent chance to do so. Trouble is, Kitty needs me more." And she's like, "Hi, Wolvie." And Wolverine's like, meditating, kiddo? Seemed like the thing to do once I was finished. What do you think of my handiwork? And she's like, not too shabby, huh? And he says, you tell me. I thought I just did. Remember what I told you, girl. Look at it. And so she does. That isn't me. It's so beautiful. It's perfection, she says. The ideal blend of elements. The kind of garden a Zen master spends a lifetime crafting in mind as much as in substance. And she's like, but I'm a teenager from Chicago. I wouldn't, I shouldn't, I know where to begin. Wolverine, what did Ogun do to me? She says. And Wolverine explains to her magic or some form of psi powers. He imprinted his psyche onto yours, created a sort of psychic clone of himself inside your skull. Eventually, it'll overwhelm your personality completely. You'll have the features of Kitty Pryde. You'll be able to mimic her perfectly, but at heart you'll be Ogun. The process is forbidden knowledge. Only the most gifted or cursed of ninja masters were reputed capable of such things, and that only in legend. And Kitty's like, but you said Ogun was a figure out of legend, and he's like, yup. And so now here they sit. I want to go home, Logan. Professor Xavier's the most powerful telepath there is. He can put things right, erase Ogun's influence. And Wolverine's like, maybe. And then Kitty's like, you don't think so? And then Wolverine continues, Ogun wants you, kid. He'll keep coming till he gets you, or till he's beaten. And Wolverine continues, if you're on the way to Charlie, it doesn't matter. If the cure's successful, you'll never be as strong again. You'll always be dependent on Xavier, always subconscious. Turn to him when things get rough. Ogun will have broken your spirit, crippled you fundamentally in a way you'll never heal. And she says, you sound like you're speaking from experience. And Wolverine says, and I've got the scars to prove it. And Kitty's like, what do I have to do? And he gives her this, and he says, take this. It's the honor sword of Clan Yashida, forged 800 years ago by the supreme swordsmith Masamune, or Mune. This sacred blade represents all that is best and most noble in the family, and the samurai, the Lord's champion who wields it, which is him, Wolverine. I want you to hold it at arm's length for as long as you can. And she kind of drops it there here. And she's like, how many hours? And Wolverine's like, it's not even 5 minutes. And she's like, you're kidding. Nope. And she's like, what was the point? To hold it until you're told to stop without effort or strain. She says, it's impossible. If that's what you believe, girl, then it will always be. And she's like, give me a break. You're too tall and too darn ugly to be Yoda. And so then the next morning, here we are, and Wolverine, the lake is cold, and Wolverine throws her in the cold here, and she's like, it's freezing gas. And Wolverine takes off his, what is gonna say robe? It's not a robe, but, a tunic. And, he drops in the water. Um, and, he gets in the water and starts swimming, and he's like, quit babbling, swim. I want you to match me stroke for stroke. And so now we see here days have passed here, and she's still trying to hold the sword. And Wolverine says, we both grow stronger. Kitty stops having nightmares about Ogun, or at least stops telling me about them, but there's still a long way to go. Try as the kid might, as hard as she can't hold the sword. I wonder if she'll ever will. Maybe Yukio was right, but if she is, what then? I won't let Ogun have her. And Yukio says, Logan, a phone call from America, Professor Xavier. So he picks it up. He goes, hey, Charlie, I was wondering when you track us down, I assume this isn't a social call. No, we can't. We haven't been easy to find. That's deliberate. No, I won't explain. This is a private matter. And Xavier's like, I'll respect your judgment, Wolverine, for the present. However, there have been some serious developments here involving both the X-Men and your former colleagues in Alpha Flight. Storm has been ambushed by federal agents. She was struck by some form of energy weapons. It stripped her of all her powers. I fear permanently. That was in X-Men 185, which I also have a playlist for the Uncanny X-Men, for the X Universe, for New Mutants, so feel free to check those out. I fear the news from Canada is far worse. Your friend, James McDonald Hudson, Guardian, is dead. That's an Alpha Flight by John Byrne, and I have not covered that. There were details. I hardly heard him, and he hangs up the phone. I was a little more than an animal when Jamie found me. I owe him my life, my humanity. He was like my brother. And you can see him at the moon here. This is actually pretty cool here. But he's dead. I can't do anything for him or Storm. If I leave, I'll lose Kitty too. I don't like it, but I have no choice. Doesn't make me hurt any less as I howl till my voice cracks and my eyes burn hot with tears. So he got the news now, finally. So Kitty and Wolverine are out for a jog here. Wolverine, I heard, I'm sorry. And he's like, change the subject, kid. I cried too, Storm was my friend. And Wolverine's like, she's tough. She'll survive. You'll do the same. And some weather, huh? Yukio says it's snowing all over the world. Something involving a magic thing with Thor. And that's the Casket of Ancient Winters. And I have covered Walter Simonson's Thor run. And I do have a playlist for that again as well. So it's awful cold. Snowing harder too. Maybe we'd better head back. And Wolverine's like, road will take us home eventually. Yeah, long as we can see it, she says here. And Kitty continues, why am I doing this anyway? Training for the next Olympics, he says. And Wolverine's like, stronger the body, stronger the mind, and spared. Ogun caught you when you were sick and weak. To give yourself even a prayer against him, you've got to be in top shape, the best you've ever been at. And she says, suppose even after all that, I lose. And Wolverine says, if you've got breath to talk, we ain't running fast enough. And she's like, slave driver, you can quit anytime, girl. It's nothing to me. And she falls. And she's like, give me a hand. And Wolverine's like, you got two of your own. And she goes, my ankle's twisted. Wolverine, I'm hurt. Help me. He says, no, you're not. Help yourself, he says. So he's riding her pretty hard. So she says, now, I tried. I really tried. I'm trying now, but I can't go on. And Wolverine says, then don't. I'll freeze here, Logan. I'll die. And then he goes, then get up. And she's like, I can't. And Wolverine's like, you won't. Your choice, girl. Live or die. Struggle or surrender. And he continues here. Maybe it's better this way. Just close your eyes and go to sleep. A quick, clean finish rather than a lifetime spent scared stiff that Ogun will come to claim you. And she's like, it isn't fair. And he's like, it never is. So, not for Storm, not for Jamie. That would be Vindicator from Alpha Flight. What made you think things would be different for you? The trick is taking the hand you're dealt and winning anyway. It's a decision only you can make, Catherine. It's the most important you'll ever face, and the only one that matters. And she's like, Wolverine, please, as she yells as he runs away here. And so he gets there, and Carmen is like, where's Kitty? Where's my daughter? And Wolverine's like, she fell. And he's like, you left her? You miserable. She's in a blizzard. She'll die. And Yukio in Japanese says, a harsh decision, my love. I'll get the snowcat, Pryde. Be calm. We'll find her. And Kitty comes and says, I appreciate the thought, Yukio, but that won't be necessary. And she kind of huffs past between them. You can almost see a smile there on Wolverine here. And so, here, now it's nighttime. At last, I was beginning to think I'd never be warm again. I shouldn't be so angry at Wolvie. Those first steps on the road after I got up, I hated him. But now I understand he's honing and shaping me for real. the way Ogun did with his mind games, except that at every stage, Logan's allowing me the luxury or maybe the responsibility of choice. Ogun forced me. This I do or not because I want to succeed or ultimately fail. At least I've made the decision to try. Wow. Is that it? Is that the answer? All those other times, and she picks up the sword here. I was making a big effort to hold the sword. Why not simply just do it here? And the next morning, Wolverine goes, her bed hasn't been slept in. She's been at this all night. How long will you let her go? She started it, hon. She's earned the privilege of calling it quits. And Yukio says, no matter how strong she is, she seems, or even Logan, she is still but a child, no true match for Ogun. And so you can see here nighttime, daytime, and then she picks up and takes the sword with her, and she says it, I've won, Wolvie, but I've lost as well. Goodbye. And so, is she going to kill him? Well, of course not, but, and now we are at the airport. JAL Flight 100 Special Service to Anchorage, Alaska, and New York, now boarding on Gate 9. And so, this time tomorrow, I'll be with the X-Men, and with luck, the professor will be able to work one of his patented minor miracles. You were right, Yukio. I gave him my best shot. Everything I had. I am maybe the best I'll ever be. And that isn't good enough. I know that now. Or is it that I'm scared? No law against that. But this is a sensible, logical decision, or am I simply running away? Like I did when Peter and I broke up, when I learned the truth about Dad. He was at the Yashida house, but I haven't said a word to him. He cared. He wanted to help me, but I wouldn't let him. I pretended he didn't exist. He hurt me. That was my way of hurting back. So, what if the X-Men can't protect me from Ogun? How do I hide from myself? The important thing isn't erasing his influence, it's facing him, and through him, my fear of him. That's what has to be beaten. And there's only one place, one way to do it. And so she boards the airplane. Next, courage. So, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, number 4. Chris Claremont and Al Milgrom. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.